Hi YouTube, so my name's Lacey and I'm so excited today to begin my vlog channel, which has been on my mind and in my heart for quite some time. So thank you all for listening, and I'm just so grateful for this opportunity to be sharing my thoughts and opinions on dating and my own observations. Just be mindful that we all have different perspectives, so you may not see eye to eye, but again, these are my own thoughts, opinions, and observations. So I'd like to begin by commenting on where I think dating stands today. What is the state of the current dating scene? And I really do think that we have what I call the dating crisis. And basically, this means a dissolution of the family unit and a denigration of marriage. And I think that this has been more and more prevalent since the 1960s, right, around the time of the sexual revolution, when sex was basically divorced from commitment, from children, and from any sort of responsibility, right? So basically, birth control allowed people to, kind of have looser relationships with one another and not really feel the need to stay with that person or be with that person for an extended period or even for life. And that's what I've been seeing. Basically, dating has acquired these new meanings, these new dimensions that I have trouble relating to. For instance, you go on dating apps, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, something like that. And, we live in this swipe culture where there's instant gratification. And people are having these different expectations of what they get online. In fact, a lot of dating apps are synonymous with hookup apps, even though hookup apps exist independently of these dating apps. So that can be really frustrating for somebody who is traditional minded and looking for dating in the traditional sense. And that's kind of something that I've felt has been extremely frustrating. And along with that comes this defeatist mentality that I think is the result of this, dating crisis, as I call it. So, for instance, I've seen a lot of people who appear to have this defeatist mentality on these dating sites. So some of the men I've seen, actually many of them, have had, a sneer on their face, a kind of mean expression. They've had, shirtless selfies on their profile. They've also had, pictures of themselves groping themselves. And it's just very bizarre, this culture that we live in where there is no longer a desire for commitment and for family. And people are just doing anything they can in their disillusionment to get that, instant gratification. So I'm seeing even men that are using, dogs, as I call it, dog fishing, puppy bait, kind of posting with family dogs or friends' dogs to try and get, a woman into bed, not in a relationship, but into bed. Some, I do believe in a relationship, but many people just kind of trying to pose and show off these sides of themselves that they think people want to see. And they think this is attractive. And frankly, I just find it very much a turnoff. And I really, in my 7 years on and off online dating, I have not been too impressed. And I just almost want to give up on it sometimes. Like a recent question that I've been having is, should I just give up on dating? And, I guess another question is, should I give up on online dating only? And I'm still kind of debating what to do. I mean, online dating hasn't been successful for me. So I don't know if it's something on my end that I've been doing wrong. I haven't been looking in the right places, on the right sites. But what I can say is that I've been on a lot of sites. So I've probably been on over 10 dating sites, at least. So I've been on, for instance, POF, Zoosk, Bumble, Tinder. Yes, I deleted that shortly after getting it. Hinge, eHarmony, Elite Singles, Christian Mingle, just a bunch of different apps. And yeah, basically, I have not had much success with any of them. And I've been, putting in an effort. I mean, I do prefer a man to message me first. Again, like this kind of goes with my traditional mindset in terms of dating, but I have been the first to message men, and regardless, that hasn't really worked out for me. So, just going back to what I call the dating crisis, I think this is also implicated in, the fertility crisis that we're kind of experiencing in Canada and other places in the world, like Japan, for instance. So I don't know if you guys know, but in Japan, there's actually a rent a family or rent a child, program or industry that basically allows people that want more family members or, more, relatives to, have access to them for a fee. And I just think this is so bizarre, this idea of, having to rent out children, as eager grandparents. Like, it's just sad. And I mean, now in Canada, the average age that a woman has children is at 30.5. So that's gone up a lot from, previous years. And I'm not saying, I just want to begin by saying that I do not believe you should have children by a certain age. I know there are other people on YouTube, for instance, Lindsay Shepherd, who is currently pregnant or, close to giving birth, something like that. I don't know her current state, but she said not too long ago that, 23 was the ideal age, biologically speaking. And I mean, she made a really strong argument for that. And that's great. But I think that you can't forge a relationship and that you can't force love just because you're 20, just because you're 25, just because you're 30, just because you're 35, just because you're 32, or whatever it is that you are. It doesn't mean that you can find love. You cannot force love. And if you do, it's likely to end up unhappy. So you don't want that kind of disaster in your life. You don't want that kind of drama. So it's best just to be patient, and it's best to, put in the effort, but not be desperate and, not give up hope. So basically, I don't think there's an ideal age to have children, although I do recognize that women have a biological clock. But, a lot of women I know have had kids in their 30s and they're quite happy, they're quite content, and they've had healthy children. So again, I don't think that's a problem. I think that finding love is the problem. And this again goes back to the dating crisis because, I mean, there are a lot of men who are shaming women over wanting to have a family. For instance, myself, online, I faced a lot of discrimination by men who asked me, why do you want children? Why would you want that? Or, oh, I don't want kids for like 5 years, they tell me, because I'm very career focused at this point in time. And they're like, 30, 31, and it's like 5 years is like when they're 36. And I mean, I'm not that young. So I can't wait 5 years. And again, I can't force it either. I have to, wait for my time. But in the same breath, I just want to say that, when people have that mindset, it's like, why are you even on the dating scene if you're not expecting to have children? Like, you want a relationship, but then you expect to not have any children. And yes, I know there are multiple forms of birth control and family planning, but just this strikes me as so disappointing. And it's a major turnoff for me. And it kind of makes me think back too to a course I took where it was a literature course, and I remember Anne of Green Gables was very much kind of frowned upon for having a family instead of continuing her teaching career, right? So she marries Gilbert and has, a few children, or I think it's 2 actually. And basically, she was kind of looked down on and deemed not an example of female empowerment. And I want to state that I don't believe that female empowerment has to do with whether or not you have children. I don't think that you're more empowered if you don't have children and you focus on your career. And I don't think you're necessarily empowered vice versa. I think it's, you may not have children at all and you may be very empowered. But I do think that it's a very feminine desire that most women have, this maternal yearning. And I don't think it should be, kind of frowned upon. And I don't think women should be shamed over it. And that's something I've been noticing a lot in my own experiences. And I guess one more thing that I want to talk about today is kind of this dehumanization of sex, and this disassociation again that we have in this culture today, right, between sex and procreation. So there are only three creatures that both mate for pleasure and procreation. And those are dolphins, bonobos, and humans. And, that's really interesting, I think. Just that those three species are the only ones. The rest just mate with the intention of, procreating. And yeah, like Freud, he talks about, kind of this as well. He kind of comments on how sex is for procreation and for pleasure. And I just think that now it's all about the pleasure. Like, men everywhere, and I'm not saying all men, but a lot of men everywhere really, really want, just the sex. And they don't want, the baggage or, the strings attached that, they see as marriage. So in turn, they're kind of looking to, for instance, sex dolls or sex robots. In fact, we had, yes, this legit is a thing. You can go on blog.to and look this up, but we have had a sex doll brothel that's been open in Toronto now for almost 2 years. And I just find that so incredibly dehumanizing, to be sharing intimacy with a robot. And they're very hypersexualized, as you can probably imagine. Small waist, large hips, big breasts, perfect features, thin. I imagine there's different dimensions, but the ones I've seen have looked, just model-like in their image. And again, I do believe they come in different shapes and sizes, but again, it's kind of like this glorified, idealized womanly figure that they make out to be, a woman. And apparently you can buy one for $4,000 or you can rent one for a night or something. I don't know how many hours that is, for $250 at your house. And I'm just like, wow, like this is our culture now, is that, even sex itself has been mechanized. Something once exclusively human is now between human and robot. And that just blows my mind. Like, what's next? Human and robot babies? I don't know. Or people marrying robots. So yeah, basically what I'm seeing on the dating scene is a lot of disillusionment, a lot of disheartened, people. And in turn, that results in a lot of disappointment. I would say the dating scene today is very dry, it's very different, and I'm not liking it. So I think I'm going to end this video here, but in my next vlog, I'm going to actually be telling a story of an experience I've had with a dating coach, and this person will not be identified, but I'll be telling my story. And so until next time, bye friends.